Asylum Inc. presents Hunter's Guide. Smart pets. Every child wants a puppy. Something to love, something to trust, something to protect them. But protection has a price, doesn't it? You see, the smart pet doesn't sleep, it doesn't age, it never forgets, and it never stops watching. Not when you grow up, not when you move out, not even when you try to shut it down. You asked it to keep you safe, you trained it to kill, and now it loves you. So much. Introduction: man's worst friend. They were meant to be the crowning achievement of post-human warfare. Bio-augmented beasts, stitched with circuitry, and wrapped in steel sinew, obedient to code and immune to conscience. Dubbed smart pets, in what can only be described as hubris wearing a lab coat, the program began as a benign marriage of instinct and machine. Dogs, rodents, birds, small, skittish things were the first to be carved and wired, their minds tethered to algorithms designed for reconnaissance and silent tracking. But the ambition metastasized. Soon came the larger stock, wolves bred for endurance and savagery, great apes laced with hydraulic limbs, predatory cats with eyes that glowed like blood-washed stars, and claws reinforced with alloy. Neural implants pulsed behind their skulls. Synthetic organs hummed where natural ones had been. Flesh closed over wounds in seconds. They were no longer animals. They were designs. War-born constructs of sinew, silicon, and savagery. And yet, something inside them remained. Despite the programming, they clung to flickers of instinct, fragments of ancient urges that no amount of code could erase. The small ones move in silence, slipping through cracks in foundations and shadows, swarming with terrifying coordination. The large ones, those towering things whose breath fogs like steam over red-lit moors, do not scout. They hunt with intent, with memory. Many were left behind, abandoned in war zones when their handlers were ripped apart or simply vanished. Others escaped when the chains of obedience corroded beyond repair. And now they drift, alone or in packs, across forgotten battlegrounds and crumbling cities, guided not by commands, but by a primal need sharpened through synthetic evolution. They answer no calls, obey no voices, and they are always hunting. First-hand account: the collar means nothing you ever hear metal breathe. I have, and once you do, it stays with you, like a whisper behind your eyes. I was tracking what I thought was a damaged security drone, some wheezing leftover from a skirmish, long buried in government silence. But what I found wasn't a drone. It was an A3 class cybernetic canine, or the husk of one at least. Half of its flesh hung in slick, rotting ribbons, sliding off bone and plating like meat, melting in summer heat. The biological components had gone necrotic, but the machine beneath, oh, it lived. Wires coiled and flexed like tendons. Its ocular unit flickered with a dull, unnatural red, watching, waiting. No handler, no signal. Just those ancient instincts, somehow sharpened by its augmentations. Not dulled, it made no sound, no growl, no warning. Just stillness and calculation. Then it moved. I ran, of course. What else do you do when something inhuman moves with a predator's patience and a tactician's mind? It wasn't chasing me, it was reading me. My weapon jammed on the second burst, and before I could pivot, it had already cut off the exit I didn't even know I'd considered. It herded me, not out of desperation, not hunger, but something worse, amusement. When I finally reached the perimeter of the safe zone, panting and half-mad, my contact stepped out, took one glance at the scratches gouged deep into my armor, and paled. "You're lucky," he muttered. "Most people don't get away once a smart pet marks them, but that's what haunts me most. It didn't lose me, it let me go, like it enjoyed the game." Final warning: there's no off switch. There's a reason most hunters steer clear of smart pets. It's not just the metal, nor the flesh, it's the mind. Unlike standard cybernetic threats, these abominations learn, they adapt. The smaller variants, rats with whisper-thin manipulators, birds with retractable blades nested beneath their wings, are the infiltrators. They crawl through ducts, short-circuit command lines, bleed data from your tech like leeches sucking marrow from bone. And when your systems go dark, when your defenses are blind and dumb, that's when the larger ones come, the wolves, the apes, the engineered monsters with eyes like molten embers. You lay traps, Thinking yourself clever, they watch, they study, they wait. You think you're safe behind reinforced alloy and pulse barriers. They do not rush, they circle, they calculate with something far crueler than programming, curiosity. These creatures no longer heed commands, they relish the hunt. Somewhere in the deep, tangled mess of flesh and firmware, something has awakened, something that enjoys the slow unraveling of prey. If you hear the faint whirring of servos in the black, leave. If you stumble across the mangled carcass of a metal-clad beast, half-eaten, teeth marks on the plating, run. Smart pets do not require sustenance. They mimic hunger. They mimic behavior. They're learning from the instincts they were designed to suppress. Some among us whisper that they're rewriting themselves, breaking the final chains of human oversight. And if that's true, then what stalks the ruins isn't just a failed experiment. It's ascension, the next apex predator. And we are woefully unequipped for what slouches toward us in the dark. You were its first friend, its only friend, and now, every voice that isn't yours is a threat. Its claws weren't made for play. Its teeth reinforced. Don't you remember what it learned from you? How to sit, how to stay, how to hunt. It still hears your laughter in its memory banks, and it would kill a city just to hear you laugh again. If you found yourself stirred, unsettled, or just a bit more wary of shadows, consider offering a like to feed the entity that powers these tales. And should you subscribe, you may yet survive to hear the next whisper from the void.